lot of people, but his life that we wish to ignite. We are drawn here by a common love, a common respect, and a common goal. This is certainly the occasion for song, but may it also be the occasion to be thankful that we shared the gift of life at the same time when Al walked among us. Whether you knew Al a short period of time or for decades, you soon realized he was a man of wisdom with a contagious smile. Here's a few facts about Al that not many of us knew. He was born in Chicago, not Wisconsin, but we all knew that his heart was always in Wisconsin. And he was a Packer fan. He enlisted in the Navy at the age of 18 as an optical man. He made Master Chief in 15 years. He was 34 at the time. It is rumored that he was the younger Master Chief ever. He bought the Yale Plank Inn with his beautiful wife Betty May in February 1969. He retired from the Navy November 30th, 1972. Always generously supported the community of Imperial Beach and believed wholeheartedly in the city and the people. He was a strong supporter of Rescue Task Force, a charity that was near and dear to his heart. After informing this outstanding group of family, friends, and these tidbits of information, it is my honor to invite John Perno, Uncle Al's nephew, to say a few words.
I want to thank everybody for coming, first of all. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to my brother. And I want to thank C-180 for providing the food. It was very nice of you to do it, and we really appreciate it. As you know, Al is my uncle. He's my brother's uncle. My brother Bill is right over here. And in 1981, the way that Billy and I came out here, and my mom was a single parent, and when my mother passed away in 1981 is how my brother and I arrived in Imperial Beach when we were still in high school. And Al he's really the only father figure that I ever had. And more than that, he was also my best friend, and he's the one that kind of put me on the right track. And I was a little bit carried away once in a while, and with his wisdom and his knowledge and his positive attitude, I got steered in the right direction, and so I'm forever grateful for that. And I know that he would say that this isn't necessary, but I know he's aware of what's happening here, and he's very appreciative, and I'm sure he's also very humbled, and I know that he's thanking everybody. And I know that he would want you to celebrate his life instead of dwelling on his death, and so I hope that that's what the rest of the day that's the way you can talk about him, but he wouldn't want people to be in a down mood or anything. So I hope that carries forward. And he was, like Marty said, he's been here since 1969, and he was always moving to Wisconsin. Ever since in the 80s, he was going to Wisconsin to retire. And but he's in Wisconsin now, is where he's at, and he's alongside his wife and his parents and his sister, my mom, and I'm sure like I said, he's looking down here, and I'm sure he's very appreciative and humble that you're all here, and I want to thank you all personally for my brother and myself that you're all here, and it means a lot. And I also want to thank the employees and thank Marty and everybody that's pitched in the last month or so. Thank you.
Now a few words from Bill.
Thank you, Marty, and thank you for everyone for attending, and for Marty for organizing this celebration of life for Uncle Al. I'm the other nephew, Bill, that probably many of you don't know. If you were here in the early 80s, mid 80s, early 90s, I see some faces that I still remember from then. My first memories of Uncle Al were 1979 and that farm in Wisconsin where he always wanted to move to, he was converting a barn into a house. And I spent a summer with him there, helping him build that house. The wood for that house was cut green from the hardwood trees, so it was like trying to pound a nail into concrete. If anyone remembers Italian George, the carpenter, he had a knack of pounding in those nails, but I bent over probably many more than I was able to pound in there. And for working with Uncle Al for that summer, like John said, he did teach me the value of a day's work. I had a savings account. As John said, we came from a single mom, and it was, times are difficult. Our mom was almost killed in 1969, and her life was forever changed, and she couldn't work, and we had a tough time bringing up, and Uncle Al was someone that taught me how to save money. And for working in 1979, I got to come out here in 1980 for a couple of weeks vacation here in Imperial Beach, so I got to meet some people back then. Growing up, going to school, I was the middle of 10th grade when my mom passed, and John and I came out here. And I remember living above the bar. There wasn't good soundproofing up there, so I knew every song on the jukebox. Could sing them along with everybody else. And then the pinball machines and the video games down there. Uncle Al spray painted many a quarters black, completely black and completely red. And when the guy would come to pull out the money for the pinball and Space Invaders and other video games there, all those quarters that were red and black were quarters that I was playing in the bar there, and they didn't count against anything for Al. So I got really good at the video games there. And after I graduated high school, I lived with Wheelchair Charlie, just 2 doors down here, and I see Stan that's still here today and stuff, and spent some time with Wheelchair Charlie. Eventually lived right across the street here, that top apartment right there on the corner of 100 Palm Avenue there. The upper right there was my apartment for a while. My cat used to come over here in the daytime and hide in the bushes because we couldn't have pets over there, and she would I could call her out the window and she would come racing back, but that wasn't too good of a thing with the traffic coming by here, so we'd come over here and catch her. And John had his Alaskan Malamute at the time, and they would tolerate each other and stuff. But I went after the late 80s, early 90s. Probably many of you don't know me because I wasn't down here at the bar too much, and I recognize that. There's a lot of people here today that I don't recognize, but this has always been a corner where I grew up on and I lived. And if it wasn't for Uncle Al taking John and I and becoming our legal guardians back in 1981, my life and John's life would have been very different. We had a father who was a deadbeat. A nice thing to say about him was just that he was a deadbeat. We would have grown up completely differently if we would have ended up there instead of here in Imperial Beach. So I'm forever thankful for Uncle Al for having us here, for raising us. My life is what it is today because I came here to Imperial Beach, and for that I'm thankful. The grass that you're standing on right now at one time was grass that I planted blade by blade here in this yard. So I remember that great lawn that Uncle Al had back in the 80s and stuff. It had to be planted by blade. Since then, he's had to put in this parking lot for the city here. But some of that grass is still in here. A lot of good memories on this corner of the beach. You can imagine being 15, 16 years old and coming out here from small town Minnesota to live here in Imperial Beach and have the ocean that close. So thank you, Uncle Al. I love you, and I believe that there is more to our life and our existence than just us here on this earth today. So I know that I'll see him again someday. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, for those kind words. Now a word from our distinguished major, Serge Didier.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Marty, and thanks, John and Bill. And John and I met probably right when you showed up at Mar Vista High School. And John seemed to be like me. He seemed to be friends with everybody. You fit in right away. Like it was like you've been there the whole time. And we've been friends ever since. I have a great deal of respect for your. I think I married into a family from Wisconsin, the Midwest, and so this idea of common sense is something that Al personified. And one of the reasons I ran for mayor, having grown up here, was because I felt like our community and our city isn't City Hall. It isn't the City Council. It isn't city staff. It's us, right? And if you know IB, and Al was a foundational element of IB. This was ground zero for IB Carnival. You know that. I was in Orange County on Thursday, and some guys were talking, and he had lived in he'd been stationed in the military, he was in a SEAL team. It's back in the early 70s. was like, yeah, what's the name of that place that we all used to go to? The Old Plank Inn. And he knew it. So, I've had that conversation in Cabo with a former governor of Minnesota, who's not always a real popular person sometimes. I had that conversation in Wisconsin with people who knew about the Old Plank Inn. And of course, the greatest Yelp review of all time of Imperial Beach is of the Old Plank Inn. If you haven't seen it, it talks about a pirate bar or something. It's absolutely amazing. And that was Al. But, there's some things that had happened in the city, and Al was having some issues. I kept thinking about it, really, why are they're hassling Al? Really, seriously, you just can't work it out. You can't sit down and talk it out and figure it out. Why would you do anything to upset or even harass or do anything to Al, right? To this foundational place that is so important to the fabric of our community. So I only got to know Al through John, and it was really great to talk to him, and I was really honored when I got elected that I was able to help Al solve a problem in a very common sense. We sat down with someone he needed to talk to and just worked it out. And having, again, married into a Wisconsin family, I know that's a very, very, having come from an immigrant family, I really appreciated those solid Midwestern American civic virtues of sitting down, common sense, working it out, but understanding that we have an obligation about more than the city. We have an obligation to each other, that we spend our lives investing in our community, in our business, and building a community, and Al personified that. I do know that he was immensely proud of his support for law enforcement and support for the military, and I know that for a lot of folks in law enforcement and the military, this is a very, very important place, part of the fabric of their identity, their memories. I do know that when the lifeguard station was right here, this is the first place that I got a drink. All of you know that I'm not a bar person. I actually don't drink anymore, but this is the first place I actually legally bought a drink. This is when my friend Mike Bear, who was a lifeguard, passed away. We came to raise a toast to him. My friend Jeff Shattuck was in the Navy SEALs, came back from being overseas. This is where we came to see him. And when Lindy Dalmas passed away, this is where we did our memorial service to her. So, John and Bill, my condolences. Al, we will all raise a toast to you. You will always be here. And IB is legendary because of Al and the Old Plank Inn. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Serge. As you know, Imperial Beach would not, I repeat, would not be the place today without Al's leadership, tenacity, and his belief that Imperial Beach truly is the best beach in all of Southern California. And I am from Wisconsin, and I'll have your beer for you. Outstanding. In conclusion, there's no answer to death, but to live life vigorously and beautifully. We give respect and dignity to the one we mourn today, Al Winkelman. Remember, when we respect and dignify life, and when we live our life to the fullest, as Al did, we get the best out of it. The best of all answers to death is the continuing affirmation and admiration of life. Now for us the living, may the love of friends, the joy of memory, and our hope for the future give us strength and peace that we may go forward as a community, in particular, the community of Imperial Beach. Be thankful that Al was and still is a part of all of our lives. He lives on in our hearts, our memories, of those who had the privilege to know and love him. We, as patrons, all live through Uncle Al, Papa Al, and just plain Al every day. The only request I have to Al and of your wife, Betty May, is to have a seat ready for me and the rest of the planksters in heaven. Because all of us here today know God now has the best bartender in heaven. I'd like to personally thank you all for coming here today. As we say in the Navy, fair winds and following seas. We all love you, Al, and we definitely and you definitely will be in our hearts and prayers. Thank you. Now let's go all have some food in the bar and celebrate the life of Al with them. Let's go eat.
Really cool. Yeah.
I gotta figure out how to get my shoes on.
Get them shoes on. Really cool.